everybody, hope you're well. I haven't spoken to you guys for much lately. I wanted to walk you through a top 10 scam, but bring a little bit more detail into this. Now, for those of you who have not got me on Facebook, YouTube, and subscribe and do the little bell thing, which alerts you when I go live, and also, of course, Twitter. I went live earlier today and talked through, as we broke through, we broke in through 6,000. I was basically looking at the market, seeing if there was any trading opportunities that I was willing to take. I was openly available to taking long trades if they were to set up. I have 4 screens in my office, and I'm willing to have an account there that you guys can't see because that's my business. But basically to see if there was anything that was going on there. I spent a fair bit of time going through Bitcoin, the analysis, views, points of view, the new market coming out, a fair bit. So if you haven't already, jump across, and I think the YouTube one shut down after about 20 seconds, unfortunately. So you're better off going to probably Facebook, I believe, and having a look there at what the video was. But I'm going to wrap it up fairly quickly with you guys right now. Of course, I'm looking at the XBT, which is a bit mixed, but I'm actually going to go across and have a look at the Coinbase chart. Now, the Coinbase chart and XBT are very, very similarly matched, and I've been watching this throughout the week as this is a fairly trusted source of pricing. Of course, you can see here on the right-hand side, 6254 on Bitfinex, yet different prices by about $100, $115 on these two, which they match up much, much better. So I'm not quite sure why the Bitfinex prices are so overinflated, but they're still good to trade as far as I'm concerned. One thing I will say is this: I have taken a fair chunk of what I would normally hold on Bitfinex off. A few things recently have just made me a little bit more cautious. Of course, this is a platform that I only use for leveraged trading, so you don't have to have as much on the platform to get the sort of positions that you want to anyway, so I'm comfortable with that. Okay, so looking at Coinbase right now, let's scroll out a little bit. You'll note through here I have drawn this line, and this line is bang on 6,000. Look, there you go, 6,000 on the nose. One thing I want to point out is this: there's no perfect several touches of that point, but it's a round number, and for those of you who've done the courses, you know that round numbers will psychologically become barriers for traders. The way it's moved, it's pushed up, pulled back, pushed on again. A little bit of divergence between this high and this high, but if I divide the daily by 2, I go to 12 hours. And you'll see a slightly decent higher low to higher high and a bit of convergence there. The main thing really is what's going on around 6,000. Now I'm going to play out a couple of scenarios right now. The first scenario is that on the 4 hour, we pull back to 59 or 58 even, and that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. It's a normal progression of a trend. If it pulled back into here after the move that it's had, a new higher low to new higher high is what I'd love to see. Flip side of that is that as we now have the European session in play, the Europeans are there, they are in the market. What will happen during their day and then handing over into the US session? Well, I don't know, but I'm going to be very keen to see what goes on. On the low side of things, we've seen a few things happen this week. We got close to 6,000, pulled back quite quickly. Then this was the Binance episode, pulled back, and then since then we have been steadily moving higher. What I am quite proud of, well, okay, proud is the wrong word. Bitcoin is not my baby. It's not my child. What I am quite interested in is that when we did go to 6,000, if I come down to the 15-minute here and I show this to you, 6,000 is right here. As we went up through 6,000, there was no major selling. So it wasn't like there was a huge stack of short orders. As a matter of fact, there's more short orders here at the high on Coinbase, of course. And you can't short on Coinbase, but around 59.90, there was more shorting pressure at that point, which was reversed very, very quickly. There was no major shorting orders around 6,000. That's why we broke through, and we've basically just gone sideways since. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to fall. And coming back to the 4 hour, it would be natural to fall back into the cradle zone. There's no issue around that at all from my point of view. It would be totally normal and totally fine. The scenario that I'd love to wake up to tomorrow. I'd love to wake up to seeing Bitcoin having pushed on and gotten above 62, 63, 64. You know, a good 4 to 5% move would be very, very wonderful indeed. And the reason it would be wonderful, aside from the fact that it is headline grabbing, there will be if you watch the news tomorrow, or tonight even, like you watch Bloomberg, CNBC, Reuters, they will be reporting about Bitcoin breaking 6,000, no doubt at all. Now, I haven't looked into it, but I know it'll be there. Because 6,000, they have analysts, they have traders, they have people talking about it. 6,000 is the number. If we pushed above it heavily again tomorrow, it keeps Bitcoin in the press. And those of you who have been listening to the podcast and following what I've been saying is that even though alts have been bleeding against Bitcoin, that's okay, because Bitcoin is what grabs the headlines. Bitcoin is what gets the press. Bitcoin is what people have heard about. It brings new people in, and therefore new people in pushes the market better. It's a good thing for the market. So no trading opportunities on Bitcoin for me right now, but happy that we're above 6,000. Haven't seen anything too radical. Let's work through the rest of the top 10 right now. And of course, I'll touch on the Bitfinex chart as well. The Bitfinex chart here, as you see, it's pushed onto a higher high. It's not very similar as far as it's not too different. But if I go to Coinbase, it's pushed on more as far as extension from the old highs. Burn this image into your mind. Bitcoin, not as far off of those highs. Doesn't mean I won't trade on the Bitfinex chart. It just means that it's a little bit different. Now let's walk through the rest of the top 10 because Ethereum's not done a great deal. And if you actually look at it, this is Bitcoin Coinbase, this is Bitcoin on BitMEX. The only ones that are green are, in fact, Bitcoin. So what do we do with that? Well, if I look at this on Ethereum right now, there's nothing of interest there. EOS, there's nothing of real interest there. Again, sideways grinding. Stellar, nothing of interest, grinding lower. Ripple, nothing of interest, slightly down, 0.8%. Litecoin, not really interesting there for me at all either. Bitcoin Cash, despite Bitcoin moving higher, Bitcoin Cash has not. Binance sort of sell off yesterday and it's holding around the midpoint of that, not interested at all. Tron in a very, very similar boat. And finally, Cardano doing the same sort of thing. So what do you do in these cases? Well, if there's no trades right now on Bitcoin and you're having a look around in the market to see if there are trading opportunities, well, I jump to my margin pairs and you'll notice these are all dollar crossed pairs. And many of these are Bitfinex because there's a lot more range available on Bitfinex. Watch this. If I go through these quickly, look at these downtrends. Now these offer leverage trading options. I was watching Litecoin this morning and I was watching it on the 2-hour. Problem was for me is that as I was watching it, that candle got too big. I was looking to short off of here, and at the time that I did my scan with members this morning, I was pretty happy with that, but it got too big. Since then, it has moved. So pullbacks on Litecoin, definitely on the path. If you look through Ethereum, not much there. My point being, if there's no trading opportunities right now, presently available on Bitcoin, if you're a leverage trader, an actual trader who understands how to manage their risk and look what they're looking for, then look against Bitcoin. Because if you can't go long Bitcoin against the dollar, you can certainly short alts against Bitcoin if the opportunity presents itself. And as you can see here on Dash, support was broken, pulled back hard. I'm waiting for a pullback. Again on Dash, notice this, back in the cradle, nice move. Very, very strong downtrend, hence why it's in my watch list. So my focus would be tonight to look across the Bitcoin pairing opportunities to short, which will only be offered on margin trading pairs. It would also be to keep a very close eye on Bitcoin itself. If you want to do nothing, then I understand that as well. Because right now, as far as I'm concerned, with what Bitcoin does next, will say a lot. Guys, have a fantastic day. Speak to you again soon. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, got the alerts, Facebook, and Twitter. Have a great night. Bye for now.